everyone. Welcome to UniTea Live. We are so excited today to celebrate this amazing being of light. We will give a proper introduction in just a moment here, but thank you so much for joining us. And we're really excited today because not only are we celebrating this amazing being, we are also going to change it up a little bit today and have it be much more interactive and go in the flow of community participation. So not to say we don't normally do that.
But if you're joining us for the first time, welcome. For everyone joining us live, we're so grateful that you're here. As a reminder, please ask questions. Feel free to share in the chat. And we are just so honored and grateful to introduce this profound being to UniTea Live. Altair, your bio is extensive, but I'd love to share just a little bit about you for our audience. So Altair has helped thousands of people around the world in courses, seminars, workshops, and individual sessions of divine awakening awareness, star being, and meditation practices, and astral, astrology, and Vedic and Tibetan traditions for over 30 years. His guides are Divine Mother, Mother Mary, Kuan Yin, and the Archangels. He has written best-selling books, appeared on television, radio, newspapers, and music shows as a healer of the hearts, and guided well-known sports people, politicians, psychics, musicians, spiritual teachers, and communities in the mystical way of the light principles. And Altair has been a teacher for over 30 years. It is such an honor and a privilege to welcome you to UniTea Live. Thank you so much for being here.
Yes. Well, thank you too. I just wanted to say, you keep saying I want to introduce this profound being, and it actually should say I want to introduce profound being, because we're all profound being, right? That's what I'm so excited about here today, is that everybody listening right now, you are that profound being, right? That's what so I love the way you've introduced me, us, we as profound being. So thank you. We are truly profound being, and that's tonight you're going to get direct experience of profound being. So there's no single profound being. It's certainly not me. I keep looking. I can't find anything. My daughter, my 8-year-old, as I was saying, you know, she calls me Mu as a nickname, which means fundamentally emptiness in Japanese. So I give that to you. I'm simply empty. I'm holding a vast open container for everybody, and you can attract all the blessings you want, because you literally have the infinite potential right this second. Every single moment is an infinite opportunity to open to profound being. So thank you for that extraordinarily welcome introduction.
Yeah, beautiful. I love it. We're sparking the flames of unified consciousness right off the bat. Love it.
Exactly.
So we would love if you would share a little bit about your journey and, you know, what feels in this now moment most wanting to be shared with everyone that's gathered here.
Oh, well, thank you. Thank you. Well, truly, you know, it really is an absolute blessing and an honor. And I really do mean it really is I'm grateful to both of you. I mean, you bring such wisdom always in your podcasts and broadcasts. I mean, so everybody here is aware of that, and that's why they're here. But really, I'll start from the beginning. And as we go through, I prefer not to talk about myself. I like to talk about us, because actually when I'm going to prompt you all the way through, and all of us can write in the chat. So you can write in the chat. Hopefully it's accessible to everybody. And that way you'll, quite often when we express ourselves like that as a collective, you'll be amazed, right? Because you're going to tap into each other's wisdom as we do this. So I started off at birth, right? I had a near-death experience at birth. So if any of you have had a near-death experience, can you just write down in the chat anything that kind of arose in that near-death experience? Because I was born with the cord wrapped around my neck, so it obviously tightened. I couldn't breathe, and I think that's why I came through with such a solid recollection of past lives, because in essence the body wasn't there, but the consciousness was. So if any of you have any direct recollection of past lives too, put down any past lives that you're directly connected to or that you can remember. So I've had a very fortunate through lucid dreams, through also past life regressions, but my own past life knowledge of having a really direct knowing of what those past lives were. So I was brought up at the age 0 by my godmother and my mother, and my dad as well. But he was a busy hospital manager, and my mum was the matron of the competing hospital or the hospital nearby. And so she put me in the tender care of a godmother, Mother Kathleen Adamson, who was a Mother Carmelite superior. So she trained me in centering prayer and in the fact that around all of us are angels, right? So right this moment, if you're tapping into this energy that we're all actually present to all the time, this deep presence, share a little bit in the chat too about what's your root origin? Like, for example, you might have come through with a Catholic upbringing or a Buddhist upbringing or a Muslim upbringing or any one of the amazing traditions, or you might have come through just with a general knowing, or you had a psychic understanding when you came through. So write that in the chat too. Really tap into who you are. Who did you come through in that origin? Like, what did you attract to yourself? And also equally, what kind of ancestral lineage did you come from? Because there is a really deep, I'm Maori, Hawaiian, Jamaican, right, by roots. I've also got lots of Irish, French roots, but there's, I'm a mongrel in that sense. I've got all sorts of bits and patches, but ultimately we're always all that. As my good Jamaican friends say, when you're a Jamaican, you're Jamaican. It's got nothing to do with what percentage you are. You're actually tapping into that consciousness of that culture. So over the years, I've had the good fortune of working with the Indigenous elders of many cultures. So equally, so I'm tapping into you quite fast, right? What's your past lives, right? What's your ancestral lineage? What happened at origin? What happened when you were born? And then what are the cultures you come from? So be rapidly unfolding this as you're starting to write it, because as you're starting to unfold this, of course, we're getting the benefit of your collective wisdom. The moment that you write down, like in my case, Maori, right? So I'm from Ngāi that's my iwi. So I have a really deep-rooted connection with chiefs, especially on Maui in Hawaii, and also the Maori peoples of Aotearoa. So I've got this deep sense of connection of the wisdom of the indigenous peoples of this planet. So I work, right now, I'm working with the Achua people of the Amazon, who are known as the Dream People, with the nation of Hawaii elders. So they're also, the whole nation of Hawaii is going through a really deep and powerful recollection, reopening, right? That, because it's always been the nation of Hawaii. And then also with the indigenous elders of Australia. So, and of course the elders of New Zealand. So really feel into what's coming up as I start to talk about this. So that was my very earliest introduction, and really the incredible opportunity to tap into that, knowing that angels, for example, are really present with us all the time. So my godmother spoke to me about Oriole. So you can do this with me, right? It's such a simple practice. If you feel in front of you right now, so you can generally do it by, rubbing on your chest or your heart or your belly. You kind of awaken that part of your body and feel into the fact that right in front of you this moment, whether you can sense it or not, there is an angelic presence, in this case, Uriel. So I'll name them for you. And then to your left, because this was exactly what she told me, and when I was 0, and then to your left, there is the angelic presence of Gabriel, right, the messenger, and to your right. So just feel into it. Wow, you're actually genuinely being supported right this instant. And to your right is the angelic prayer. Oh, I got lots of lights in the room. I get lots of angelic lights. They appear, they give me messages, and the angels just speak. Sometimes they'll appear in form or in formlessness. And from the right, feel into the angel of healing. So that's Raphael. And then behind you, if you lean back just a little bit, you'll feel the protection of the angelic presence of Michael, right? The protector, the one who's actually always there for you. So if you feel into that, you can start to feel into the fact that you're always surrounded by angels, by guides, by mentors. So if you have any angels, guides, mentors, bodhisattvas from any tradition, doesn't matter, that you have really got some strong connection to, write those down too. Because I always remember the first time I went to a psychic, and she said, "Who's that over your right shoulder?" And I said, "It's Krishnamurti." She said, "Yes." So I actually, and then in much later life, I went and I was hosted at Krishnamurti Foundation, and they put me up in his house. So I lived in Krishnamurti's house, and it was just beautiful. So many stories of mystical and wonder have unfolded in all these times. So if you've got particular mentors, guardians, angels, teachers, gurus, any of that, write those down. Because again, what you're starting to do and what we're doing together is you're unfolding the wisdom of the collective. You're unfolding that we are the profound being. So there was I've only covered at this point at age 0. So then at 2 years old, I started to have a recurring dream. So if you've had any recurring dreams or any prophetic dreams, write down what comes up as I'm talking to you about dreaming. Because at the age of 2, I had a dream of being a Tibetan monk and walking across to Samyam Monastery with a friend and dying. And I fell into the primordial light, and I can still remember it. I remember the primordial light and sound. I remember the vibrancy of that. So if you've got these really strong dream recollections, then we're all in this together, right? We're actually remembering lots and lots of different dimensions, which you have immediate access to. And so I dreamed that same dream, exactly the same dream, dying every single night for 365 days in a row. Now, I can tell you it's not fun to die every night. I woke up screaming. My parents thought I was epileptic. Because they were both hospital managers, I was carted off to the nearest hospital and zillions of tests in every way, head, heart, goodness, but they couldn't find anything. And I always say that was my very first venture into neuroscience, because I've been tested in labs over a number of years by neuroscientists in both Japan and USA, and published in science and technology and engineering conferences, which seems to give some sort of validity to mysticism. So they say, when scientists ring me up and say, oh, you can do all these mystical things, these strange things happen, portals open and angels appear, but surely that's just your imagination. And so I just send them the data that the labs have, which shows extremely high gamma and extremely high theta. Then of course, the scientists rest their case, and then they usually want a blood sample because they want to see what else it is. So it looks to scientists, they see it as one of my good neuroscientist friends said. He said, you seem as if you're on DMT, the spirit molecule, all day, 24/7, because he said it doesn't switch off. And I said, yeah, well, that's what it's like in my brain. It never occurred to me that people's brains weren't bright and full of light, because that's how mine feels day and night. So if you have any kind of curiosity about the merging of science and spirituality, write down any experience. If any of you out there have got contacts and if you've got web links, you want to connect people into what you're doing, do that, because that's how I've made so many friends across this planet, is that we're here to share, and we're here to know that profound being, because I just love the way you're interested. I'm going to remember that forever, that the profound being is us, and that the profound being is right here, and it's lit, right? And we are absolutely getting lit together. So I've got about as far as 2 years. Would you like me to go a bit further?
Yes,
I've got to ask both of you. I mean, what happened to both of you when you were in childhood? I'm curious.
far less interesting.
Oh, I know everything's immensely interesting. Even if you just sat in the corner and played with blocks, which I did, then that is super interesting, especially to kids, right? I think when we have the freshness and delight and innocence of childlikeness, like as Christ said, you come to the kingdom of God through that childlike innocence. Once we have that freshness in our consciousness all the time, then it's like everything's interesting. So yeah, go on, please share with me a little bit of what happened. What was the first sort of wakefulness that you had, or mysterious experience or wonder as a kid, which is probably every moment for you.
Well, one thing I'll share is that I'm a twin. So I came into this world with a partner in the womb, and that really connected me to the oneness and the interconnection of all life. You know, to have that close connection at such a young age. Yeah. How about you?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I had quite a yeah, I will say it was interesting coming in, and I also would have very interesting dream states as a young child. So I wouldn't want to nap. My mom would try to make me nap during the day, and she was like, the whole neighborhood knew when I was putting you down for a nap because you would be in resistance of it. And, you know, so I always just kind of listened to her story, and I was like, huh, you know, I love sleeping. Like, why would that ever be? Like, can't imagine, like at this point, right? As a mom of 3 and everything, I can't imagine I would resist sleep. But as I began to come back into the awareness, you know, some of the awareness, right? It's an eternal journey of gifts and abilities and whatever one wants, however wants to call it. I remember that, you know, I had lots of awarenesses of beings present within the room, and then in dream state, there was a lot of activity taking place, and so actually, I had a lot of sleep paralysis throughout this life, which, from my perspective of it, was quite terrifying, because I would go into these deep states and then would end up in these lucid dream states, and then like beings were trying to sort of pull me out of my body, and then I would always be met with, you know, whether it's Divine Mother or Yeshua, or, you know, and to assist me in remembering, like, you know, how to wake myself back up. But when I was a little child, I must have forgotten some of these navigational tools. So I had a lot of memories of beings coming into the room and, you know, trying to create the illusion of like it being very scary and kind of, you know, so I guess they had a lot of fun with me.
And tell me, did that come out in a sense? Did it find its expression eventually? Did it heal itself, open itself?
Well, so what I would say is my parents were like, you just have such an active imagination, and you just, you know, you're just having nightmares and this type of thing. And, you know, and so I would like sneak into the room and like sleep on the floor next to my mom. But so I feel like, you know, and I was very telepathic, you know, as a child, and then would go and meet with beings in nature. And like my mom would find me in like fields of wild blueberries, like eating different, she's like, you can't eat these things. And I, you know, it was like you know, a remembrance of, so I was, my parents, you know, I came in sort of as a unique.
You are. No, I watched your aura shift as you started to describe that, and obviously there was lots of energy that was constricted in the throat and towards your heart because you were trying to express that. So I'll do something for everybody that's very useful. So if you've got a little, because you've tapped into this so perfectly, it's beautiful, right? If all of you out there are feeling, I want you to write down right now what you're feeling right now, like what's present for you, and especially go to anything that you may be feeling a bit stuck on. So just like we were all sharing that, because this is a we experience, right? We start to actually feel into the areas that we are stuck. So you might feel stuck in some area of your life like that, like dreams, like I've had a nightmare, maybe not quite free of it, or in fact you do have bad dreams, or maybe it's around health. Maybe you've got an area of your life that you're struggling with right at the moment in health and well-being, and you're kind of thinking, oh, I'd really like to work with that. Or perhaps it's in abundance and you're kind of feeling, oh, there's an area of, I'd just like to free up this energy so there's more financial flow in my life. Or maybe it's in relationships. Maybe you're having struggle with a colleague at work, or perhaps you're actually tapped into a relationship which is actually not that great for you, or you're wanting to open a current relationship, or even you'd like to open to a new relationship. So yeah, any kind of thing. So I'm noticing people putting things like physical attunement. So there might be different levels of attunement or alignment, or it could be in your spiritual path. Maybe you're kind of feeling a bit lost, or the opposite. Maybe you're feeling really found, but you've just sort of woken up and you're thinking, where do I go to for support? I need to find a like-minded community. Or maybe you're already developing communities and you're looking for other community members to come to you. So I love what everybody's writing about embodiment and so on. So just also now that you've kind of identified maybe an area either where you're stuck or where there's some grab or there's some grasping or aversion or attachment of some sort, I want you to just really own where you feel that in the body, right? So when I get kind of locked, I'm just like what you were expressing, you know, sometimes it gets locked in my throat and you might have to cough or bring something up, right? So where do you feel, whatever you're present to, wherever you're feeling stuck or wherever you're feeling that kind of bind, where is it in your body? So actually write that down. So where would you feel this in your body? Any of you. So if you're missing family, where's that? Is that kind of a sadness in the heart? Where do you feel this kind of energy in your body? So go to that first and just name it and write it down, because we're going to let all of that out. We're going to, as a group, because we've got such power here as a group. I mean, we are limitless and boundless in our opportunity to heal and to really support each other. So feel into that boundlessness first of all, and then name it. And then you're simply now naming also, where do you feel that in your body? So we're just going with that first. So I'll just give you a moment to write that down. Obviously, if you don't feel like sharing it in the chat, that's totally cool. Just write it down on a piece of paper so that you know, right? The key is you're bringing awareness to it. You're going, oh, okay, I feel an energy in my throat. And I'm feeling an energy in my throat just because we were talking about those terrifying nightmares, and I can really relate to it. You know, like I screamed in my 2 and 3-year-old state. So I can really feel into that. All right. So I want you to go to that first. Now I want you to we're going to switch tracks just for a few moments. So you've brought your awareness to what you're holding present, perhaps where you're feeling stuck. So now I want you to feel really into flow. I want you to feel, where's a time in your life that you really felt good about everything, almost a sense of ease and carefreeness and effortlessness. So that kind of feeling. Now, it could be right now because of the way that we're sharing. It could equally be time in adolescence, might be a time when you were in childhood. You're in a beautiful natural place. So things are coming to you right now, right, as I'm starting to suggest this. So it might be a beautiful natural place, might be an opening where you were sitting on your grandmama's knee, right? And it just felt really safe. Or maybe it's with a pet. Sometimes we hold a special pet. Or if you're a mum, like I've been a mum, but now I'm a dad, when I held my daughter for the first time, you know, and there's a certain way you hold a baby, like it's absolutely precious. You want to hold her or him in such a safe and tight, there's no chance you're ever going to drop that baby, because you are really, really, it's so precious, maybe the most precious treasure on earth. Yeah, so any one of those kind of things, if they trigger off a response. So I want you to write this down too. What's the moment you really felt in flow? If you can't remember, go to a natural place. And if you can't remember exactly natural place, I'll give you a little prompt. I was dealing with the head of a number of multinational companies, and he said, so just for privacy reasons, I'm going to slightly shift a few things like gender and other things, just to help. So he was trying to solve a number of different company problems, and he really couldn't solve them. And he'd heard that this funny forest yoda might be able to do something for him in 90 minutes, right? Which is often the thing. It's like when I go to get neuroscience tests, it's like, can you demonstrate above 200 hertz gamma in 60 seconds? Yeah, I can. Yeah, okay, there you go. It's like there's the limitlessness of us, right? And it is sometimes condensed down to these funny therapy sessions we call 90 minutes. So anyway, you're feeling into the fact that here's somebody who's got big stresses, you know, many companies, and he's trying to find a way to actually go into flow, and he couldn't remember. And then he remembered a time when he was about 12 years old, and he was sitting with his best friend and just paddling his feet in a creek. So he's sitting on the bank of that creek, just down the back of his parents' property. And so there's the smell of the forest. So if you're a forest person like I am, or you're a nature person. So flow might be a smell. It could be a sense like that for you. It could be in the ocean, right? It could be in the forest. Like I can smell the forest right now as soon as I say that. Or it could be the taste of something. So maybe it's the taste of that, that earthy smell that it sort of gets your taste buds going, because you can kind of remember, oh, that's right, I remember what it was like to paddle in that creek. And or maybe it's sound. Some of you will be very sound oriented. So maybe it's the sound of it. So I can remember the sound of the water of the creek down my parents' place. And so start to write this down. Start to write down what's coming to mind when you get into flow. What happens? Are you a sound-based person, or are you more visual? I'm extremely visual. So things arise to me. I can see right now, I can see a Buddha just simply by letting the vision arise, and it's as clear as if I was looking at a picture. There's a beautiful cat, there's Buddha's around, all that. I'm a great lover of Kanon-sama or Kuan Yin. Kanon in Japan, Kuan Yin China, Chenrezig, Avalokiteshvara, depends however you want to, whatever tradition, he has occurred in many places. So there's different ways. So maybe you're a visual person, visionary, right? Maybe you feel it more. Maybe you're a feel seer. So if I say to see an orange, maybe you kind of see it. So you know what the orange looks like, but you don't necessarily see colors. So it's all good, right? We have different perspectives. If you talk to enough people, as I have, like over 3,000 people individually, you'll know, and you ask them to describe. I always start off by asking people, how do you perceive this reality? And they'll say, oh, I see, or I always ask them to describe an orange. And then I go, can you smell it? Can you see it? Can you feel it? Can you hear it? Can you, when you peel it, can you, all of that. And then I ask them to use the language. So what sort of language do you use to describe source or God or creation or whatever it is? What are the words you use? Because that's going to tell you something about your perception. And if I ask all of you gathered here to write down all of that, you'll see there are so many different ways that we perceive this extraordinary, limitless cosmos. Right? So right now you're tapping into that forest or that beautiful time of flow in your life. So can I ask both of you, just give me a quick idea of your flow moment.
I'm paddleboarding on the ocean.
Oh, no, just can't get away from that. I adore the ocean. I lived by the ocean for 30 years, so I'm into paddleboarding all the way. And
so many places. Like when you started talking about the baby, I was like, oh, I used to love when the boys would like sleep on my chest, and it just like the connection of the heartbeats. And then recently, I went to Utah, and I am a very scent person. I'm a visual person. I'm a feeling person, but I'm a scent person as well. And I love the sense of nature. And so that smell of the earth right in the morning, when you can smell the water, you can smell the dew on the plants, and the sun hasn't really touched it yet. So it's just like this, there's like a sweetness to it. And yeah, there's just such a depth to it. I don't know. It literally like takes me into a place of like deep euphoria.
So isn't that beautiful? So Brooklin and Emily are kind of giving us our felt senses, right? They're helping you to feel into it as they're helping me to feel into it. So now I'm going to ask, now that you've tapped into that, whatever it is, whether it's paddleboarding, euphoria, children, whatever it happens to be, where do you feel that, right? Where is that flow in your body? Because what we're aware of is we've just spoken about where the stress arises, but now I want to know, where does the flow arise? So can I ask both of you, where does the flow arise?
Yeah, the first thing that comes through is just that I'm fully in my body. I'm not in my head, I'm fully in my body.
Brilliant. Yeah. So it's a whole entire kind of flow, right head to toe. Mm-hmm. Oh, you're very lucky. That's a wonderful, wonderful way of seeing it. Great, fantastic. Okay, and
yeah, I would say, feeling into it and taking myself back into that, moment. It definitely like immediately drops me into my heart space, immediately drops me into my childlike joy. And then from there, I feel like, it sort of is an all-encompassing feeling that just rushes through the body. And it's, and it's like, it brings such a sense of vitality and crispness to the moment. Yeah.
Fantastic, fantastic. So this is what I want you to feel in. And if you've got that whole body feeling, like both of you have got, then what I'm going to get you to do in just a few moments is I'm going to get you to really actually saturate your body with that feeling, because you've already started to feel it. Some of you are describing different flows. Maybe it's a particular flow of abundance. I noticed in some of the comments, people were saying things like, money flow, for example. So if you're struggling with money flow, and you have a particular moment in your life where there was a money flow, even if it's as simple as receiving your pocket money, people would say, but I don't have any money flow. And then I say, what about the very first moment that you actually received something, even a walnut from nature fell into your hand? You thought, like that child, it's that moment. It's the moment where you were open to the abundance of not just the gold and silver, but actually the abundance of the flow of the cosmos itself, because the money is just a part of the general flow of abundance. So as you're starting to feel into this energy that's coming into you, right now, as we're speaking, I want you to go to your flow state. And what we're going to do is we're going to spend a few moments just literally saturating your body with that all together. Now, you imagine all of us saturated with flow and love and abundance. Wow, we are just, we're on a rocket, right? So right now, close your eyes with me, and we're going to just do very simple things. So first of all, we're going to do a very old practice called neti neti, right? Which I always look at as kind of not this, not that, not this, not that. So right at the moment, you're aware of your body, right? And there's lots of things that you might identify with, like your physical characteristics of height or weight and so on. But we also know that we change height, weight over a lifetime. So you cannot be your height or weight, right? So you can put that aside. It's almost like, let's just put those aside together, right? And then we're going to go into things like roles we play in life. So, sometimes you have a job as an accountant, sometimes you have a job as a nurse, sometimes you have a job as a doctor, sometimes you have a job as a teacher, right? And you change those roles. So just think about that for a moment, all the different ways you identify with who you are and the ways that you might describe that to somebody else. And if you start to look and you really look and inquire into those too, you'll see you're not this and you're not that, right? Because you've changed. If you've changed, you know that you've changed from one belief to another. So it's changing. And because it's changing, we know we're not this and we're not that. So if you're identified with your body, so just go into your body for a moment and just look at your body right as it is now. And remember your body, say, when you're an adolescent, and you know that as you get older, it's going to change too. The body's changing, the cells are renewing. Right this moment, you're different in effect, and everybody's different in effect. Every moment, this change is continuing and opening to all these characteristics in your body. So you're not that either. When you grew up from a little one to the old one, right, the body's always changing. So you are not that. You are not the body, because we know that the body changes. And also think of your beliefs. Think of some beliefs you held when you were, say, at high school or elementary school. And then think about your beliefs now, because you've learned something new now, and so you've got a different belief. So your beliefs are not you, because they have changed throughout all kinds of years. Now go to your feelings. Right now, you've got a particular feeling about, say, money, or about flow, or about health, or about relationships, or about your spiritual path. If you take what you're feeling now and you consider your spiritual path back when you were a kid, or perhaps your attitude to money when you were just 13, or maybe your relationships when you were 7 or 8 years old, we know that your feelings change too. So you're not your feelings. And equally, I can ask you to be aware of your thoughts. And right now you can let a thought come up. Let's say your breakfast, something easy. And the thought comes up and it abides there for a while. And then after a while, it dissolves. It doesn't matter how good you are at connecting to thought. You are not going to be able to keep that thought of a blueberry any longer than I say, don't think of pizza, right? And then I say, don't think of a pig underneath your house. So there are many of those famous Zen jokes where they go to the monk and say, what is enlightenment? The enlightenment, the monk said, abbot says, don't think of pizza, right? It's that kind of joke. So here we know you're not your thought, because your thoughts are changing. They're changing right in front of you. So we know we're not the thoughts, we're not the body. That's like the not this, not that. So this is a practice where we're just simply going through, and all the things that you thought you're identified with, all your stories, this thing, that thought, this emotion, this belief, you're not this and you're not that. Even all the habits. Think about some of the habits you have now, and think about the habits you had when you were just 10. Right? Maybe you identify even with your habits as being you. In fact, the habits are often the thing that determine what we think we are. And yet, you know, even those habits have changed. Maybe you like to work out, for example. Think about a time that when you didn't work out. So maybe you identify with being a meditator, right? And there was a time when you didn't meditate. So whatever skill set you have or might identify with, we can put them all aside and say, you're not that. Right? You've got all these roles you engage in, but you are not this and you are not that. So each one of those ways that you identify with these types of roles and identities and stories, we know as we slowly set them all aside one by one, that we're not this and we're not that. Until we arrive at a felt sense that's qualitatively different. And that is this aliveness of being that's within you right now, that we've tapped in through that flow state. So here, I want you to just rest right back for a minute. Drop this nitty practice. Drop the not this, not that. Just let go completely. And right for a moment, there's nothing to do. There's literally nothing to do except to rest. You're not going to do anything else other than that. Just simply rest as one. Now, you'll be aware that there's lots of extraordinarily beautiful souls here right now on this call. So you're connecting into all of them. Really feel into them. Feel into the power of all these great spiritual beings here. Feel into them. Feel into the power of Addison and Ananda. Feel into Bill. Feel into all the people, everyone from Shanti and Regina to Lisa. Feel into all of them, Karen, John. Feel into Sharon. Feel into every single one. Feel into everybody, all the families. Feel into all the relatives and ancestors that are connected with that. And the fact that we're also drawing all of their guides here, all of our guides, Brooklin and Emily's guides and mentors and guardians, all their families are here. So feel into that. And then for a moment, I want you to feel into the fact that at every single moment we have brings this possibility of opening, brings the possibility of resting in this space of boundlessness. So I want you to bring to mind now that experience, that flow state experience we did just before. So it could be the euphoria of having a child, could be paddle boarding on the ocean. And I want you to bring to mind either an image or sounds or feelings or senses that really help you to embody this. And it's going to rise in all sorts of different ways. It might arise in different parts of your body. So I want you to feel into that, feel into being held, feel into opening to this flow, to this life. I want you to feel it in every cell of your body. So here you can actually start a little bit like as if you're pouring that flow state in your body. So if you feel the euphoria all over your body, or you feel the wonders of being out in the ocean all over your body, see now if you can saturate it into your crown. It's a little bit like pouring nectar. So you're pouring this flow, this energy of abundance or beautiful relationships or your connection with children into your crown, right? It's coming in, it's flowing down your body. It's like a nectar, like a warmth or like a tingling. Just notice how it arises for you. It's flowing down in behind your eyes, into your ears, down into your throat, right down into chest and heart, right down your arms into your hands, right down into your belly, right down into your hips, thighs, calves, feet. So you're just simply saturating every part of your body, and then see if you can saturate every cell with that. So every cell becomes a paddleboard on the ocean, or every cell becomes the euphoria of a child. Every single cell, no matter where you look, there is that euphoria, or that is that openness of flow. See if you can find it in every pore of your skin. Every pore is now lit up with the paddleboarding on the ocean, or the euphoria of the child, or the euphoria of being, profound being. So you're allowing this aliveness to penetrate every cell and every pore of your skin. And then feel into the aura, the energy around your body, and feel as if you're wrapped, embraced, like a mother and a child, as if you're embraced by Divine Mother's grace all around your body. Imagine you're being wrapped up by angels or mentors or wisdom or love or nectar, or you're being wrapped up by the ocean that you're paddleboarding on. You're wrapped up by the very Divine Mother who works through you to give birth to a beautiful child. So you're feeling into that aliveness around your body. And then feel that same aliveness around your body in the room. So especially if you're sitting together, if you're together with somebody like Brooklin and Emily are, maybe you feel into the wonders of the vibration of each other's body vibration and each other's energetic vibration. And then you're feeling that out into the room. Even the room seems to carry the energy of the paddleboard, the energy of the ocean, the energy of the child, the energy of the mother, the energy of euphoria, the energy of beauty, the energy of flow. And it flows out beyond your room into the house that you're in or apartment, and then out into your community. And then out into the world. And then out beyond the world into the cosmos, into planets and stars, and out beyond galaxies. And then out beyond that, you just unfold this vast, limitless awareness of profound being out beyond all boundaries. And you just rest in that for a moment. Just drop all effort. Just simply rest and sink in profound being. And that profound being, which is limitless, we might call it spaciousness. We could call it stillness. We could call it vast silence or primordial being or primordial sound. It doesn't matter what we call it because it's just words. So right now you're very aware of this spaciousness, this infinite opportunity. You might have already noticed your thinking is starting to vanish, or there's more space. There's a gentle presence in this space. So I want you to allow the entire vast, limitless cosmos now to collapse into you. Allow your body to participate so that every cell of your body becomes present with this vast spaciousness. It's amazing. Your cells are present with limitlessness. It's actually very simple. Sense the aliveness in your body, wherever you feel it, wherever you feel this presence. So it might be really in your heart right now, or you might feel a openness or clarity. So wherever you're feeling it, that aliveness, bring it again now, bring this vast spaciousness into your entire energy field so that it actually now saturates your body again. And your body becomes part of this limitless presence, this limitless vast spaciousness. And at this point, you might feel that there's a subtle observing of this inner body feeling. But then you realize there's no longer a subject-object relationship at all. Because in fact, the inner body is merging with this limitless presence. And the entire being becomes peaceful. If thinking comes, that's okay. It doesn't matter anymore. And it doesn't come very easily. Or when it does come, if I ask you to remember again breakfast, it'll come. But it just comes so easily and effortlessly and rides along awareness like a wave and then vanishes again. So you're aware there's so much more spaciousness, presence. So just rest in this presence. And as you sit here, your entire body is in flow. You're no longer paddleboarding on the ocean, you actually are the ocean. You're no longer holding your baby in euphoria, you are the euphoria. And you can do this at any time throughout your day, simply by finding this felt sensation of presence wherever it arises most naturally, wherever your ocean or paddleboarding arises most naturally, wherever the euphoria of a child arises most naturally. Simply find that felt sensation, know where it arises in your body, and then feel it, let it saturate every cell of your body. I call it the invitation. Invite every cell of your body to participate. And then just sit for a minute, perhaps. That's all it takes. First thing in the morning, last thing before you go to bed at night, just a minute, 60 seconds, just like this. If you want to anchor it, maybe you could squeeze your thumb and forefinger together to actually anchor it into being. And then you might ask yourself, well, who am I if I'm not the body and I'm not the roles and I'm not my jobs and I'm not all my thoughts and feelings? So just go deeply into that for a moment. And then you'll find that the answer is not in words. So let's see if the answer comes. You need to be very, very still, very alert, very, very awake, so that you can find out. So the question's been asked, who am I? From not all this. And you can't think about it. It's not answered through words. So don't try to find the answer through thinking. You are still and alert. And what remains is this alert, still, spacious consciousness. You don't own it. It's not yours. It's consciousness minus all content and form, as it says in the Heart Sutra. No eyes, no ears, no mouth, no nose, no content, no form. You've left all that aside. So who am I? you're right on the point of saying, I don't know. And that not knowing, the unknowing, just being able to rest in the presence of this unknowing, profound being. It's not through words or concepts. It's on the level of words we don't know. It's without labels, without names. And yet without these words and labels and names, there is without a doubt presence, profound being. No past, no future, no content, no identity, no name, no form. What's present is formless, vastness, intangible. No inside, no outside. Even those words describe something. This is within you. No content, free from form. So now for this last moment in this limitless knowing, if your eyes are closed, slowly open them and stay very, very still in presence. Stay still. Bring this awareness of now, this deep presence, this knowing of presence. Bring this unbound flow of knowing into every moment of your day. And then every moment becomes magical and open to infinite being, to profound being, to the wonders of infinite presence that's always with you. So thank you for that extraordinary presence of your light, everybody's light that shines and just is simply open and present. And thank you indeed. And I'd really like to invite some of the people that are present, including everybody, just to maybe share either in words or maybe come on screen if you want to ask anything, or if you'd like to just share something that was present. Maybe Brooklin and Emily, I'll start with you. Just share anything that was present during that simple practice that you can bring every moment.
Well, it was blissful. I found myself traveling through the cosmos just as a formless being of light, which was really quite magical experience. And I felt such a overwhelming sense of compassion.
Beautiful. It literally, as you said, blissful, I think it was, who wrote blissful? Sharon. There's just a lovely synchronicity, and you were saying blissful and Sharon was writing blissful. It was really lovely. Oh, thank you. That's just so lovely.
Yeah. Hard to really know, which would make sense, put words to it, but there was like an immediate dissolve of all felt sense of form. Yeah, just a sense of pure sort of bliss met with peace, met with nothingness. There's a massive amount of light. Yeah, felt like home.
Oh, you said it. You ought to be giving this webinar, not me. That's what it really is about, right? It's about home. And I notice, other people have said similar things: light, weightless, presence, light, ease. Well, thank you all. Seen and unseen, blissful. The expressions are just boundless and wonderful. So, everything and nothing. Oh, thank you, everybody. That's Stephen, Laura, Sharon, for what the different things that you're sharing are exactly who you are. This is not me guiding you. This is you recognizing, for example, what Allura said: presence, light, and ease. Allura, that's you. That is your essence. That's the part. Once the identity and all its roles are stripped away, that's you. Elora, the one of presence and light and ease. So, and that oneness, said another, oh, you are oneness. So if anybody has questions or other comments or anything that you'd like to share, if you could share it in the chat. You could equally just come on screen if you want. You could ask Brooklin and Emily to present. They might have some questions. I only think I got as far as 2 years old. So one day I'll tell you the rest of the story, but it's hardly important. What's much more important is the incredible oneness that we're all feeling here, because that is the magic that humanity has as a potential. I always consider, if instead of having a budget for 798 billion on war, we had a budget of 798 billion for consciousness and light. Wow, we would just rock this planet. I mean, we need to rock this planet, right? It is time. I think all of you are present here know that, like me, we're aware that we've made a lot of mistakes, but we can turn it around. I would love the entire military operation to put all that incredible consciousness, because it's actually really focused attention onto the power of profound being and peace. That's how we can actually raise the awareness of our planet. But we need everybody to participate. So I'm embracing all of those, sons, mothers, lovers, caregivers in the possibility and the potential that pretty soon we're all going to realize that we don't need to be spending money on pharmaceuticals, oil rigs, or missiles, that we can actually spend it on the power of our consciousness and our presence and our peace. Those are the real powers. So so if anybody would like to share anything, any questions, anything.
I would love to give space for anybody who does have any questions or any shares. People may be feeling
Speechless.
blissed out to put into words, but definitely opening that up. And in the meantime, Altair, I'd love to ask you ways that people might connect with you, the type of sessions, if you do offer sessions, how can people go further and deeper?
Yeah, it's so sweet of you to ask. I've had people reach out to me in dreams. They've had dreams of Isis or Hathor or the Virgin Mary, who turn up in their dreams and say, talk to Altair. They've got no idea who Altair is, and they'll Google me on the internet, and of course there's very few Altairs, so they actually arrive at me and they say, somebody, whoever it is, Jesus told me to seek you out in my dream, or they're on a plant medicine experience and they've had an ayahuasca journey and they've suddenly aware of this being called Altair. They've been told by an indigenous elder in their journey to come and contact Altair. So it's pretty funny. So I say, jesting aside, you can do it that way. So you can reach out to me in your dreams or in journeys that you take. But equally, there's a website, altairlove.com. That's the easiest, because that will get you straight to me. Or you can email me on altairsham@gmail.com. So, but the website's easier. Altair, ALTAIR, just like the star, love, one, so it's all one word.com. And so, for sessions these days, I'm booked fairly heavily by an enormous number of beautiful souls. I never refuse people. I have a rate that I charge, but I also open it to people just to give a donation, because I've supported the Tibetan refugees ever since I can remember. So they are like, I support children from basically as soon as they need help, and then they become part of my family over many years. So if people can't, if people can't afford a rate or a charge, then I get them to donate something. And that's equally happened with extremely wealthy people, is they've offered me enormous sums of money and I ask them to pay it forward or donate it to others. The other system I've used that's been very useful for people struggling with abundance, and I do encourage you to do this, is that I get a lot of people coming who say, I can't afford to pay you anything. And I say, based on what we're going to do today, you don't have to pay me anything, but I'll look, for example, at their astrological dashas in a Vedic or Tibetan chart and say, oh, well, look at this on 30th of May. If you simply focus on this practice right up till that point, you're going to have a lot of abundance. And I said, then simply pay me 10% of what comes to you, because you've got nothing now. And then, of course, some people, a good example was a channel. She had she didn't have any money, and she needed 5,000 to go to a retreat in India. So I said, oh, look, when do you need that? And she said, in a month. And so I said, on such and such a day, you'll get exactly that amount plus $500 more. So pay me the extra. And so she did. And it's a lovely way of paying things forward, either getting people to donate or actually to believe in themselves and then pay something at some future date, or pay it forward to somebody else, help somebody else in how you're doing it. So I am pretty solidly booked out, which is just, that's a humble blessing in itself. What am I doing? Very little. I'm just simply pointing people back to their own wisdom and saying, you've got the wisdom, you have the power, you have the light. So go and use it. Our planet when I was training with the Dalai Lama, I asked him, because I sponsored him on his first trip to New Zealand. And so as a result, I got to have a personal meeting with him. And I said, what should I do? And he said, simply study, embody, become, and then teach. And then I said, well, how do we reach the whole world? And he said, teach 10 to teach 10 to teach 10. So I'm speaking to all of you present here and everybody that's listening. You're those teachers. You're the bodhisattvas, or you're the earth angels, or you're the elders of the planet. And we need to get going, because we need 10 times 10 times 10 of us to actually wake up the planet and let it know what good hands it's in. Just like a divine mother, like Kuan Yin. You just simply want to embrace everybody and everything in your compassion, and know that that is going to support you. So I'm living proof. I can't say I do anything particularly wonderful, but I get enormous blessings. I think people have given me everything from plane tickets around the world to rare paintings and invitations to their baby blessings. So, what can you say? They're equally worth everything and more than. So once you start to feel like that, and in the Maori tradition, we have a tradition of koha, or just gifts or donations. I've lived like that most of my life. I find it very difficult to charge in terms of specifying things and rates, but I love allowing people to open up to what's their potential. And that's a whole different way of charging. So yeah, I really encourage all of you to embrace, both your health, your abundance, the flow, your spiritual destiny, the best possible relationships. I've been so fortunate this life. So I dedicate all the blessings to all of you. I can't say I deserve any of them myself. So I give them all to you. So yeah, if anybody wants to, if that's an easy way to find me, that's a simple way through it.
Beautiful. Well, we feel so nourished and blessed and blissful and whole in this wonderful co-creation and connection and celebration of everyone here and celebration of you. So thank you so much for blessing us and for being here. And we would love to have you come back at some point.
I'd be honored to anytime.
So we can hear about the rest of your life. Yes. Any parting words or anything that you want to share before we bring our time together to a close?
Sure. Somebody did put a comment, curiously enough, about the pineal gland and consciousness and difficult times meditating and don't experience what most people experience. How can I really train my body? In very short, what other people experience, quite often there's a view, that you have to be meditating in a particular way to achieve these high states. One, trust the wisdom of your being, trust in your own awakened nature, be very patient. The second thing is that I've learned over many years, the central channel of the body, so the simple, what's known as a torus field. So if you look up torus field and the torus breath, I teach people simply to draw the energy in their central channel, because I was trained by Yogananda for many, many years. Draw the energy up your central channel and then feel it like a dolphin spout going out equally left and right? Just drawing the energy straight up the central channel, and as you exhale, letting that beautiful golden light go to left and right and wrap your body in love. Really simple things, you know. Do a breath of that when you get up in the morning, a breath of that before you have your lunch, and a breath of that before you go to sleep at night. So look into the torus field. That should help you train your body. It's really simple, but it's brilliant. There's lots of research out from, you know, physicists and like Nassim Haramein, for example, who speaks about the torus field and speaks about the power of the torus. Is if you look at NASA research into Jupiter's moons, you'll see that they all show that torus field. And so some years ago, I was when I was connected with Starcraft, they came and showed us a way to call Starcraft using the torus field. We were able to do that in a witnessed event that was in television, newspapers, in many places, mostly in New Zealand in those days. But we demonstrated in front of a friend of mine and I for quite a long period of time. Just showed them just speaking to the power of the torus field, what it can do. Connections with animals, connections with star beings, connections with guides. It's really amazing. So be simple. Don't compare yourself to anybody. It's got nothing to do with anybody else's experience. You are you, you're wise and you're pure and you're awake. So trust that awakened nature and then go for it. Just train yourself in where your heart feels guided. And that is the very best thing. And definitely don't compare. You're beautiful and pure and wondrous just as you are.
Such beautiful advice.
Yes.
Thank you so much for the peace, the wisdom, the love that you bring. This has been such an incredible connection.
Yes. Feeling all things divine right now. So
well, I've got to thank you. Yeah, I mean, there's no better place to come than with Brooklin and Emily. So I just got to say, you know, we are really UniTea, right? Having tea and unity. And I guess because of the nature of that, that's why I thought I'd frame it in that way, that all of you listening and us, we're all one. We're one wisdom family. And that wisdom family can actually really, really party and have a beautiful time on this earth and actually really support each other. That's what we need most at the moment. We need a genuine feeling of deep trust and support and love right across this planet. So every little bit you can do counts, and we can make this world actually live in unity.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. So much love and gratitude to you and to everyone tuning in.
Yeah, thank you, everyone. Wishing you a blessed, magnificent, and everything you want it to be weekend. And we will see you soon. Yeah.
So much love, everyone.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
Much love.